dig it. Speaking warring nation, talk of broken heart relations, set me down in revelations.
I promise I'm a song. So this song popped on. I hope Facebook doesn't take my live down from it, but this used to be one of my favorite Al Jarreau songs. It's called 10K High. And as I'm getting ready to come on, the song pops on. I'm like, I don't know why this is happening, but I love this song. But I'm gonna have to turn it off now. Because I don't want the live stream to get flagged for not playing music that I don't have rights to. Good morning. So really quickly, the story behind that song actually in some ways probably led me here to this moment. When I was in high school, I used to, we had to take a sport every semester, and I was introduced to aerobics. This was 1989. I was introduced to aerobics. Mrs. McAllister, who I think I'm friends with on Facebook. Mrs. McAllister taught aerobics class, and I went into that class, and she had like some of the funkiest music, and one of the songs was Al Jarreau. And the reason why I loved aerobics was because I loved working out and I loved dancing. And it was like I was doing both at the same damn time. I was like, what? And at that moment, I knew I wanted to be a fitness instructor. I wanted to be I wanted to lead aerobics classes. I didn't end up doing that. Just so you know how roundabout your road can go. I did not, and I did become a group fitness instructor in 2014. So what I don't feel like doing the math in my head. It was 10, 20, 25 some odd years later, I became a group fitness instructor. I worked with a program in New York City called Shape Up NYC. I became an AFA certified group fitness instructor, the association, the Federation or whatever, for Aerobics America, whatever, the main one. And I taught exercise classes, and folks like them. I miss doing that. My knee was bothering me, so I couldn't continue to teach. Becoming a group fitness instructor led me to coaching, led me to this. So thank you, Mrs. McAllister, for teaching aerobics, which eventually led me into health and fitness, which led me to talking about sex, which is about health and fitness. So I know, long roundabout story, long roundabout road. And you know what? That's kind of how life is. It's the things you think you're going to do, because I thought I was going to be a psychologist. And here it is, but I'm not seeing people like in an office, but I really thought I was going to be see patients, oh my God, I can't imagine. That would have been so exhausting. I really thought I was going to be a psychiatrist, but med school? No. Okay, so today I feel like we're going to talk about money. I haven't spoken about money in a long time, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you and tell you why I haven't spoken about money in quite some time. Because there's this idea that we have in our society that you can't speak on something unless you've, you can't speak unless you've been successful in it. And, if I'm not making, like $2 million a year, then it's like, why are you speaking about money? Well, so I realized yesterday that I can actually speak about money, and I can speak about money from the energetic perspective, and I can speak about where I've been, where I am, and where I'm going, because it's not about, like, I'm not going to talk to you all about investments, right? This is a purely energetic conversation. So if money's not an energy for you, exit if you feel so inclined. If you're trying to figure out how to shift your mindset, as they say, when it comes to money, then this is for you. So I did not, um, small backstory in order to get to where we are so you can have some understanding. I did not grow up wealthy. We always had what we needed, right? And my mother worked a lot. She worked a lot. And my father like worked and had entrepreneurial things going on. So it was like it was kind of up and down on that side. But we had what we needed. Um, for contrast, I think we had a 13-inch black and white TV my whole life until I was 12. And my it's 1987 and my father brought home a color TV and I remember we were like ecstatic. Like, oh my God, it was a Panasonic. It was like a 30 something inch or something like that. And we were just like, ooh, like it was huge to us, because we just had a little 13-inch black and white for the longest time. Um, so that's kind of how I grew up. Always had what we needed, you know, and that was that. When I got married, my mindset, my personal whole life mindset had not found its way into anything. It was extremely nebulous. I'll take these off. Because I was fresh off a suicide attempt because um I tried to commit suicide at 21 and then um spent time in the hospital, turned 22, met my ex-husband, and that all happened in a year. Like it all happened in a year. Like the suicide attempt was like March of 95 and I met my ex-husband in May of 96, right? So I hadn't really even had like a whole lot of time to really get my mental right, after all of that. And he had his own Samsonite luggage, his own baggage of self-esteem issues and self-worth issues and things of that nature. I hadn't yet gotten past mine. And I mean, I was 22. I wasn't going to get past that anytime soon, but I hadn't yet gotten past mine. And so when we came together, I feel like if I were to think about myself, I was an open wound and it kind of just merged with him. So whereas before, I was good with money. I'd had my own apartment at the time. I was working. I kind of just, I just plummeted. I plummeted into his world. And from there, moved in with him. And then for my an adult life up until maybe about 3 years ago, it was just poverty. It was poverty. I mean, yes, we had shoes and all right. It's like we were like, what? I mean, but it was poverty. My mother bought most of my children's clothes, if not all of them, all of their shoes. She often paid our rent. Phones were always off when we had cell phones, always off. Can't tell you how many times I changed numbers because we were trying to like, oh, can't pay this person. Let's go over here and try to sub-service over there. We were evicted uh, definitely twice. The third time we kind of left before they could service the eviction notice. We moved 7 times in 10 years. We were homeless. Um, spent one night in a train station. I spent one night riding a bus with my ex-husband and my son, my youngest son, because my other 3 kids with my sister, and the family's trying to figure out like what the hell is going on. Like, you guys have been going through this. And it wasn't just because like I was staying at home and he was working, because when he was working, we were fine. It was that he had a lot of difficulty keeping jobs. Again, his own mental issues. So he had difficulty keeping jobs and would often quit, which meant that, which meant that one of us had to work. So what would happen is I would be at home, he would work, and then something would happen, and then I'd have to try to figure out how I was going to work because I was also homeschooling. And so there would be all this disjointed back and forth. There was no consistency whatsoever, until there was a time when I just went to work, and my kids were in school, and my ex-husband was at home. And I just worked. And because we didn't have a car, I was leaving the house at 5:30 in the morning, and I was getting back home at like 8:30 at night, because we're in the suburbs of Maryland. And if you don't have a car in any suburban area, you already know you're on that bus does not run like it's supposed to run. And so I spent a lot of time surviving. I was always in survival mode. So I've spoken about trauma and how trauma affects you. And living in survival mode is a form of trauma. When you're in survival mode, you cannot create. You don't have the mental space or energy to create, to literally live. You are too busy fixated on making sure you eat, on making sure you just have a roof over your head. If you're a caring parent, on top of that, you're trying to make sure that your children don't realize that y'all don't have shit. I think I've told the story where we were renting a house. We were on Section 8. I done had every government assistance you can possibly think of, from, by the way, from WIC to food stamps to medical assistance to Section 8 to cash welfare. Like, I've had it all. So we're living in this house that we rented, via Section 8. The story for how we got that is a story for another time. The coveted voucher. And in this particular time, we couldn't pay the water bill. Now, the water bill was in the landlord's name. She wasn't playing no games. And they cut the water. And so for 3 months, we had no water in a 4-bedroom home, 2 bathrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, 7 people, using the toilet, having to brush teeth, wash dishes, cook. 3 months of going down, walking, because we didn't have a car. Walking is about a good mile. Walking to the local Giant, because it's Giant down there at Stop and Shop up here. Walking to Giant, getting out. We didn't have a shopping cart. We couldn't afford a shopping cart. Buying gallons of water, sometimes taking the kids with us to go back to use, trying to figure out, like, I know how many gallons per person you need in the apocalypse. I'm good, right? A neighbor across the street who was also on Section 8, so rock on to the Section 8 folks. We would go to borrow her water, right? Which was nice of her, because she's also paying her water bill, and we're over here filling up our water. So when I say poverty, I do mean poverty. And it gets to you. It can reframe your thinking. It reframes your worthiness. It reframes your fears. Like, there's a fear. There's a fear of leaving that stage, because it becomes what you know. There's a fear of staying in it, and it becomes stagnant. So it wasn't the lack of money that did this. It was who we were at the time that brought about the lack of money. And when you grow up, or when you're in situations where you have not had the privilege of having a bit of cash, it becomes this elusive thing that you're grabbing at, because the idea is, if I have the cash, my life will be better. That's why Biggie was always like, more money, more problems, because that's actually not true. Money is an energy. The piece of paper that you get is the tangible outcome of your energy output. So if you're not seeing enough of the tangible paper, there's something in your output that's, no, it's fuzzy. It's not a clear antenna. It's, there's a lot of snow going on. It's some interference and what's happening. And how do I say this? Everybody's not meant to be a millionaire. It's not even like that's some people's goals, and it's like why is that the goal? What do you think will happen once you reach millionaire status? Like, what magical thing will take place in your life? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with wanting to be a millionaire. It's just, why? Because some people, the way their lifestyles are set up, they could be rocking out really wealthy, like on $150,000 a year, and just be so content and at peace. Because really, that's the goal. The goal isn't money. The goal is contentment and peace, right? You don't have to worry about your light bill getting shut off or your water getting shut off. You don't want to have to worry about your car being repossessed. You want to be able to buy gifts for people for holidays and birthdays, right? You want to maybe hire a personal chef. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you'd like somebody to come clean your house twice a week. Think about the lifestyle that you want, and then start thinking about, well, what would that look like monetarily? Because folks just throw random numbers out there. And I want to make $5 million a year. Okay, well, what do you, is there a goal? And like, what do you want to do with that? You just want the money just to have it. Some people want to live like celebrities, not understanding what actually comes along with being a celebrity. Security. You don't have your own life. 2 or 3 different cell phones. So when it comes to money, ask yourself, instead of asking how much money, ask yourself, what kind of lifestyle do I want to have? Because some of you might really just want to live in a mobile home traveling the country, and you need to figure out how to get money to do that. So you look at your life, right? You figure out what type of lifestyle you want. Now that determines, how you're going to fund it. And so now we get into the energy of it. When I didn't think enough of myself, my relationships and my money were crappy. Because when I didn't think enough of myself, I wasn't able to receive. Money is about reception. It's about being open enough. It's about being open enough to receive, not take, receive. And it's about being in service to something, someone greater than yourself. Those two things are the most important. Being able to receive and being in service. That's your input output. Your output is your service. Your ability to receive is your input. When those energies are clear, you will find that the money will flow. So how or why can I speak about this? Because in my case, learning how to be in service, showing up for others however I can, and then learning how to receive allowed me to not be on any government assistance at all, except for my 2 youngest children. I think they're still, or my 3, I think they're still on the medical, like the New York State, like it's not Medicaid, but no, it's the marketplace. So no, we're not. I was thinking about that because I don't want to say I'm doing something I'm not doing, right? But I was like, no, it's through the New York State marketplace. It's not through. So yeah, no, I'm good. I like to be honest. But it was the ability to do that. So yay me, first of all, and I'm giving myself kudos, yes, because the amount of work that it took for me to shift my ability to show up and be in service was a lot. This live stream is an example of being in service. And it's difficult for some people to imagine themselves doing a live stream. It's frightening to get in front of people and to talk to them. And it could be no people, it could be 10 people. But that's an example of being in service. Reception meant that if there was something I wanted to offer, that I allowed myself to receive an energetic compensation for my time. That was a huge struggle. I just, I wanted to do everything I wanted to do for free. It was difficult for me to get over that piece. And this is very entrepreneurial language, right? So let's say for people who are working, because a lot of folks are working, everybody's not going to be an entrepreneur. So a lot of folks are working. How does this show up in your work environment? You are working somewhere, you would like to make more money. You want to increase your income, right? You're not going to work for anybody else. That's not what you do. Your service is showing up to whatever organization or company you work for. And that is service. Let's be clear. Like everybody doesn't need to be an entrepreneur, just like everybody doesn't need to make $2 million a year. So you're going to work is in service to something. So maybe now you look at, what do you want to be in service to? Do you want to be in service to the place that you're at? Is there something that's calling you deeper? Like you want to work at a nonprofit, or you want to do something that like shifts the world in some way. Maybe your job is fine and you see yourself as doing that in service to your family. Maybe you're just in service to you if it's just you. All valid, right? So now you know what you're in service to. You know what you're going there for, which means now when you go to work, you're not going there like, I gotta go to work. You're going to work like, I'm in service to me and my travel, and the fact that I love the car that I have, and I love if it's just you, like my condo, whatever, my apartment. I'm in service to my children. I'm in service to my partner. You're going to work with purpose, which shifts your mentality. Now, the compensation part. Well, are you being properly compensated? Have you outgrown the position that you're in? Can you take a class or two, that a certification that you can get, that you can put on your resume? Are you scared to go look for another job because you've been at this one for 7, 8 years and it's frightening to you to start looking for something else, to start interviewing for something else? So you notice the money's not the issue. It's not how much you're making. That's the issue. It's how confident do you feel about you? It's an energetic thing. So you feel confident in yourself. And look, confidence does like this, y'all, right? Like everybody's not confident every day. Everybody has moments. But confidence in the sense that you know that I deserve a higher income. I know I do. I know that the work that I do is amazing. I know that any place who has me there in service to them is going to get the best. And because I know that I'm doing that, I also know that I deserve to be compensated for that time in the best way possible. So you dust off your resume, maybe you hire someone to do it for you. That's investing in yourself. And then you take that and you start shopping it around. You're shifting your energy. I hope all this, makes sense. I'm trying to work on not going around the mulberry bush when I speak. But I try to want to put things in context for different brains so that hopefully it keys in somewhere for someone. And I don't have time today, but there is a whole survival mechanism when it comes to melanated people. That's an extra added layer of being in literal survival mode, which is one of the reasons why our net worth isn't where it is. It's not because there's a problem with our ability to do things clearly, but as a collective, there's a survival mechanism that understandably so, is so activated in our minds, we're too busy doing that. Those of us who start to break out of that thinking, our finances look differently. We have to break out of the thinking of survival mode and trust. We have to trust that we're going to be taken care of. And maybe I'll talk about those two things. I'll write that down to talk about on Friday as a continuation of this, because that's really kind of the backbone as I think about it. Trust and dealing with survival mode. Okay, so I think that's it for this morning. Just to, money is not, it's not about the cash. It's about your willingness to be of service and your willingness to receive. And so where perhaps are you unwilling to be of service? And I get it. Sometimes we just don't feel like doing no shit. Where are you unwilling to be of service? And where are you having difficulty receiving? And hint, hint, how you show up in the bedroom, how you experience your orgasms, how you experience sex is an indicator of your ability to receive. So I'll chew on that for a bit, and I think I'll continue this on a Friday with a little bit of trust. I did this in 40 days, the 40-day prosperity plan, but maybe I'll revisit those two pieces of trusting and survival mode, because those were two of the biggest things that I had to work through. All right. Happy hump day. Enjoy your Wednesday. As always, I love you, and I will see you next time. Bye.